I'm switching Sandpaper brand and let me show you why. But first let me show you what I've been using so far. Now in a couple of minutes I'll show you on the lathe in practical use all of these sandpaper versus the new one and we'll compare results. Now years ago I started using a cloth bag sandpaper but from Norton brand. It was more available in Croatia at that time at least. After that I switched to Indasa sandpaper, which is this one here, Rhino Grip white line. Also quite affordable for the roll. I think 25-meter roll is around 65 euros, so that comes down to roughly 2.5 euros per meter. Great option, multifunctional in terms of that you can cut up your disc for your drill attachment, so quite versatile in that regard. Later I switched to Klingspor due to our collaboration, and these are great papers, apart from this one here, which I'll show you in a few seconds, but these are great papers. I've used basically in all of my videos, you've seen this cloth bag J-Flex 361KL. Great paper, it tears up easily, so you can use whatever size you want. Again, I'm not sure about the price. I'm going to guess, again, roughly from 2.5 to 3.5 euros per meter. Great value for money, and if you do a lot of hand sanding, great option. We'll compare the durability of the grit and how it dissolves and everything a little bit later on the lathe. Now this is plain paper, so paper bag sandpaper, really good stuff. Doesn't last long, as I'll show you on the lathe, but it's great paper while it lasts, let's say. So the grit is okay, it sands quite rapidly and nice and fine sanding, let's say. So I'm not looking for polished surface when I'm sanding. I want to have sort of a matte appearance on the surface. That way I know I'm still scratching the surface rather than just polishing it. But this one obviously creates a bit of a heat because there is no backing on the back. But there is a big advantage to this kind of thin paper, and that is it's quite pliable, so you can basically bend it really thin. Hopefully that's visible. Really nice and thin, so you can get really nice into deep details or tiny details, corners and everything without rounding them over, which is the case with this here. You could use it single layer and then bend it like this, but you can see it has a little bit of more thickness here. Now I did say that I don't like this one, and there is a reason for it. It probably has its function in some other areas of a trade, let's say, maybe in metal working or plastic or something else. So this is PS22N, and I would highly recommend that you stay away from this paper for wood turning. So these has been cut for me. I have quite a lot of these, but let's say on one bowl I would have to go at least 10 grit or 10 pieces of one grit just to get it sanded properly. So it's really, as soon as it touches the timber, it just dissolves or breaks down the grit, so it's not usable anymore. Not sure why, but probably has its function somewhere else, but not for wood turning. Like again, I would recommend these three options here, but let me now show you the new one. The new paper in question is this one here. So this is from Hermes. It's a VC154 long life Velcro. It's a 70 by 115 mil. Now I would recommend that you go for rolls. Now depending on suppliers and where you can get these papers, not sure if these are available everywhere, but depending on where you can buy these, you can either buy whole roll or maybe per meter. Here in Croatia I would have to buy 150 meters of roll, so that's why I got this option instead. But eventually I will get myself those big rolls, probably that will last me a lifetime, because these does last quite a bit longer than the other options. So I have opened one here, so this is 240 grit. You can see how it looks on the back and on the front as well. So it's quite thin. So again, this is 240 grit, so it's quite viable, so you can use it as a single layer, and you can see how it bends into nice thin crease, so you can really sand into tight spaces. But also when you fold it, it folds up nicely, as you can see, and you'll see it in action in just a few seconds. Also, what I have here are discs. This is 75 mil diameter, so 600, 320, 400, 240 and 120, and 180 is also here. Without the holes, obviously we don't have extraction for drill attachment, so we don't need holes, but the same paper you just cut into discs. Now, the first time I've encountered this sandpaper was roughly 2 years ago at Woodturning event in Austria for NEUREITER. A viewer approached me, and actually I forgot his name. I do apologize for that if you're watching this, but he gave me a few pieces to try it out. He said it was the best paper he used. And sure enough, when I got home, I tried out, and it really outperformed, in my opinion, everything that I've had. So I think really it's better if I show you how it performs rather than just telling you. Now I have papers here. So this is the new one from Hermes, 180 grit. Then I have from Indasa, again, 180 grit. Same size, I've cut up the same sizes. Also 180 grit from SPUR, the cloth bag, and paper bag 180 grit again from SPUR. Again, all of these are great options, great papers, but again, I always try to find more efficient, better way of turning or sanding or anything related to turning on the lathes to save a few seconds here, a few seconds there. All helps out. Now, really scientific test here. Actually, let me just get the lamp on. Now, the way I'm going to show you how these perform or compare is really scientific. So what I have here is a piece of sapele, and I've cut a groove here with parting tool, separating the area here. So I'm going to rough this surface out, and it won't be the cleanest surface possible, just a little bit of rougher texture, maybe a few areas with a tiny bit of torn grains, so you can see how much it takes to sand that out. So spindle gouge, and I'm just going to use the right wing to lightly skim over the surface like so. Just make it, actually try to make it straight, like so, like so. Get rid of the sharp corners, and I'll just deepen the groove here a little bit with thin parting tool. So let's see the surface before sanding. Hopefully you should be able to see that there is a little bit of picked up grain here and here. So that's when we go against the grain, and we should have the same situation in this end, which we have. So slightly torn, not so much torn, but roughed texture, that's the word I'm looking for. So let's see how this goes. Again, really scientific way. Turn on the dust extractor. I'll fold it 3 ways, or like so. So you save the grit, and you have a little bit of buffer room for expanding the heat. I'll try to use roughly 10 seconds, half of this paper here. So this is paper bag, and I'm going to use it on the right. You can see it works beautifully for a few seconds. Again, same side, just use the other area here. Try not to cross to the other side, but I can already feel and see, because of the dust, there's not much producing the dust here, so the grit has already gone. So it was great while it lasted. So I'm going to go a little bit further down. You still see dust coming off at the beginning, and now it will fade off. And I can feel there is quite a bit of heat developing here. So I've already used 3/4 of this paper side, this one side. Still have a fresh bit here. Again, this is paperback, and I do use this quite a lot for, again, intricate details. So that's used all of this one side. Let's see how it looks. I can see there is a slight polish, which is something that I don't want. So you can see, hopefully, pulled up grain here, rougher texture. You can see how nice and cohesive it's in this area here, but here in this area where we are against the grain, this needs more attention. And again, if I roll it to the other side, there should be another area here, a little bit, so it's not that visible. So only this one area needs a little bit more attention. So I've used all this side because I had to transfer, because I was already polishing the surface, which is something that you don't want to see on 180 grit paper. Now let's compare a cloth back sandpaper. Again, fold it like so, and I'll use it on the left here. Turn on dust extractor. Again, I'll try to use only half of it. You can see hopefully how much dust it's created here. Maybe I'll clean up the rest so you can see a little bit better. So I can feel how the wood is grabbing the paper, and that's something that you want to feel. That's sort of a sensation. So again, I used half of it. You can still see I'm performing, but again, I'm getting slight polish. So I already used this area here. I cannot use this anymore. You only build up heat on the timber and on the paper, and you risk of getting micro fractures on the wood. So I still see some lines here, but I'm actually going to stop and check the progress on the left side. So here we have on the paperback, we see torn grain here as well. Let's see the other side. Here also we have a little bit of work to do here. So let's go to use the rest of the paper. Again, at the beginning, quite a lot of dust, which is normal. But it gets smaller and smaller quite quickly. I think that might be it. I still have a little bit of paper left. Let's see how it performed. Okay, this area that was trouble on this side, here it's nice and clean, and that's taken care of. So hopefully you can see how much this, I've used pretty much all the side, this one, and here I still have maybe 1/3 left of the paper here, fresh grit that I can use, but this is pretty much sanded. So let's compare the other two. So again, I'll just rough it out the same way. Like so. Now actually what I'm going to do is see which of these two, so from Indasa and cloth back paper, which one will perform slightly better, and then compare the best one out of 3 with new one. So just for the sake of the video, of course, I'm going to switch to fresh side. This time I'll use cloth back sandpaper on the right. I'll use maybe a little bit more than half of the paper. Roughly around 20 seconds, give or take. So let's see. So I still have this area left of fresh grit. Let's see how that performed. Not too bad. That's pretty good. A little bit of here. So I'll use the remaining area. And you should be able to see how much dust is here on the tool rest. So that's one side completely used. And I could go to 240 grit on the right here, so that's pretty good. Now let's see the Indasa paper. It's a little bit more stiff, let's say, versus the new paper from Hermes. You can see initially, I think it creates a lot more dust here, but it's getting less and less, and now basically I'm creating zero dust. This is one of the issues with this paper. It does clog up, at least with sapili here. You can see it doesn't take much to clog it up. At least on this piece. Again, not sure. It didn't clog up that much. Okay, so that's the left side done. Again, I've used all the surface here. And that's done as well. Now I would say that from these two, this one did sand it a little bit faster overall, but cloth back, oops, that's not cloth back, this is cloth back's paper. This one lasted just a little bit longer and it doesn't clog up as fast as this here. This one from Indasa will sand faster, so it does remove timber faster rather than cloth back paper, but the cloth back paper lasts, I would say, just a little bit longer. So that's, again, my take, my subjective take, if you want, on these two. So let's see this Indasa comparing to the new one, Hermes. So again, I'll just rough this out. And there should be rough texture here and on the other side as well. So let's test these out. So first, this is Indasa. So great start. Creates quite a bit of dust. But in a few seconds there won't be any more dust. So now it clogs up here. Try to use every bit of that I have. So I'll just sand this until it's perfectly smooth. So still have some sort of a line here. Now again, this is not ideal. I would go one more step and maybe shear scrape or do a push cut to get better surface before sanding with 180 grit, but that's now all used up. I think there is still a little bit more, still some sort of a line here, but the rest of it is good, so I'll use the other side. So big cloud of dust, and now there is no dust, so it quickly dissolves as well in terms of the grit. I think that's now gone. Again, hopefully you can see how polished it is just because I use this one area, so a little bit of too much polish for my liking. So now the new one, again fold it like so, and I'll use it on the left. Not sure if you can see how much more dust there is here, but the important thing is it's still performing, it still performs, and now it's getting slightly clogged up. It still sends a lot of the dust. Let's see how that performed. Used only part of it, so that's pretty much a little line here, so a little bit more. There we go. So I've used, you can see I still have this area and this area, but I've used this portion, but that's done. So hopefully you can see both of these are now sanded, and comparing the two, I've used all of this to get to this stage and only this part to get to this stage, and it took way less time, let's say. So for me, at least in my book, that shows a lot. And if I can sand less, let's say per session or per bowl, that's a huge advantage, at least for me. So let's compare with the cloth back paper. Again, spindle gouge, just rough the texture a little bit. So this time I'll use cloth back paper on the left. Get the dust extractor. Also quite interesting, I haven't noticed this before, but even the cloth back paper gets heat up quite fast. Now the speed is 1300 RPM. Now you could say that I should bring the speed down to sand, but I rarely do. I want to have, as Richard told me once, you want to have that sensation that the wood wants to take the paper out of your hand, so it wants to drag it, so not just slide through it, if that makes sense. And I can feel the cloth back is getting quite hot. Okay, so that's done. I've used all of this side. A little bit here if I'm nitpicky, and a little bit here, but that's pretty much okay. So I'll use the other half of this. And even on this used portion, I'm still getting some dust. Of course, it's not effective anymore, but as it was on the beginning, but it still did the job, and I only used one area, and that's a little bit more here, much as on the cloth back here. So let's take care of that. Okay, that should be it. Yeah, that's much better. So I have this oak bowl, and what I'm going to do is just screw up the inside. Now I won't try to be as clean with the cut as possible, but that's pretty good, but it could be better, let's say. But what I want to show you, that's the surface. Now on purpose I brought the camera slightly more out so you can see a little bit more the dust, how much it's developing. So this is the new Hermes paper, 120 grit. Same speed, so 1100, nope, actually it's 1400 RPM. Oops, wrong direction. So that's only the inside. I haven't touched the rim or anything. But I think that's done. Let's go with 180. So 180 grit. After 180 grit, I'll skip to right away to 600 grit. And the reason for that is if there is any blemishes, 600 grit will show it immediately. So just a few seconds. There is no blemishes here, so this is perfect. Let me show you closer. Hopefully you can see the inside is pristine. So that was, again, as you saw, I only used for a few seconds 120 and 180 grit Hermes paper, this new one, and there is still life in these. So maybe another bowl, maybe two bowls like this, maybe even three. I haven't tested that out, but so far these still have quite a bit of life in them. And if you wonder why this one has holes and this one doesn't, this is a sample piece that I got a while back as well. But these new ones in the box that I've shown you, I purchased those with my own money. So that's, as you saw, the new paper, and I'll finish with 600 grit as well on the other contestant, let's say. So now again with the same gouge, one more cut. And just to show you before sanding, pretty much the same surface as it was before. 120 grit, this one that I said that I don't like and that I don't recommend. You'll see now the first second it will create a lot of dust, but after that it will basically like it's only plain paper rather than sandpaper. Only a little bit of dust is accumulating, but this is pretty much flat. And let's see, there is still, not sure if you can see, quite a bit of picked up grain in this area, but this paper won't deal with that anymore. So grab another one. Again, use sandpaper like you've been given a lifetime supply of it. Richard said that. I think Vic would say that first, I think. Now, interestingly enough, I had a little dip in the center, the same as with the Hermes paper, but it didn't flatten it out yet. Still a little bit of picked up grain, hopefully you can see here. And I can tell you, the bowl is super hot. This paper now just develops quite a bit of heat. And if you use something like maple, then you can get a lot of the heat checks on the end grain. So I'll go one more time with 120 grit. This paper has a little bit more life in the middle, and that's 3 120 grit. There is still a bit of picked up grain, but let's go with 180 now. Still a little bit more. Another 180. Not sure if you can see, after each grit there is a considerable amount of polish, which is again something that I don't want to see in final piece. So I think that's pretty good, and let's polish it up with 600 grit. Now it will look okay. Just stop and brought you closer. Okay, so brought you a bit closer. It does look okay, similar with Hermes, but this is how much I used paper. So 4-5 papers in total I've used just to get to the same result as the previous one. And just to show you, again, I'll put on 120 grit from Hermes. And 180. Sure if you can notice how much more there is of dust and everything, and there is no polished timber here, so using regularly, so after 180 grit, which still has some grit in, course you won't use your paper like that, but I think you get the idea. And just to show you, this is the paper, 180 grit. Still has some of the life in. It does look quite rugged, and I would probably switch to another one, but still has a little bit more life in it. And I already sanded probably for another 2 bowls worth of time with this paper here. And on the outside I also played a little bit. So I'm just trying to show you the difference in between these papers. As you saw, on the inside of the bowl I've used 5 pieces of this PS22N from SPUR, which again I don't recommend. And I only use 2 pieces of this one from Hermes VC154. And these have still quite a bit of life left in them. So again, this video, the point of it, it's not to bash on any particular brand or product or anything like that. I always try to find more efficient way or more economical way, more productive way of turning, and in this case sanding. And if I can cut down the sanding time from, let's say, 1.5 minutes down to 1 minute, I'm going to take that approach. In my mind, it's worth it, and it's not like it's a 2 times or 3 times more expensive sandpaper. It's actually the same price. So don't expect that this small piece will last you years. So it's, again, it's still sandpaper. It still only lasts for a few minutes depending on the size of the bowl or spindle or wherever you're turning. But in my mind, in what I've seen from my experience, this one so far performs the best of all of them. So again, it's not magical. You still have to throw away paper. I know it's expensive thing to buy, so that's probably the most expensive material that we buy, and it's expendable. So we just have to throw it away. There is no using a worn out 180 as a 320. It doesn't work like that. So just be aware of that. Like I said, Richard Raffan and I think Vic Wood said that just use sandpaper like you've given a lifetime supply of it. So use it, throw it away. Soon you notice that it's just sliding off the surface. It's not scratching anymore. You're not producing any dust. And if you're using like 120, 180 grit, if you see a polished surface, then throw it away immediately, because there is no grit left anymore. So hopefully this little video you'll get something out of it. Again, it's not to bash on other brands or anything like that, just comparing these products that I have. And again, I'll still use my SPUR cloth bag paper because it's great. And as you saw, I still use my Indasa sandpaper, especially for my belt sander, and if I'm doing any kind of hand sanding, I would use those. And paper bag from SPUR is a great alternative to any kind of detail sanding, really tiny details. It's a great paper for that. So all of these have its purpose. If you only have to use one or buy one, I would recommend this Hermes VC154. So hopefully this little video you'll get something out of it, and thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.